Alabama takes on Missouri, homecoming in Tuscaloosa, and a game that Alabama just cannot lose. And on Kalen DeBoer's 50th birthday, I'm sure he's feeling a lot of pressure about this team and the losses, and honestly, even how this team has performed. But a lot of injuries for Missouri. It's setting up for this weekend to be one of those games where Alabama can get right heading into the off week and then start to power into that matchup against LSU. Tigers, and then even more Tigers when you look at Auburn down the line. Elephant in the Room coming up, brought to you by mybookie.ag. That's Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. Let me hit the open and make him happy. All right, roll tide, man. That's Mr. Coker, 2015 national championship QB at Alabama, and I'm Mick Gillispie. Great to talk to you guys, and great to see you, man. A little bit earlier than normal, but that doesn't bother me at all. The weather's been fantastic, but Alabama football taking a lot of hits right now after that loss to Tennessee, and this feels like a get-right game for Alabama.
Well, before the season, again, I'm kind of going back. We set the bar high with the Georgia win. Before the season, the over-under on wins is 9, and it looks like we're going to be right at that number. Again, a lot of room for growth, a lot of time for growth, but I don't know if we got enough time to get there, and I don't know if we've got the team, the personnel right now in order to make that playoff run.
I hate when you say that. You're supposed to be like, look, man, we got this. We got this. But there's so many questions, and I mean,
the only thing that we've been consistent with all year is being inconsistent. It just penalties, not executing, getting beat on defense. I mean, and when I say that, it's not like it was, over the last few years. I say that. I mean, Tennessee at Tennessee a few years ago was a pretty. I remember it felt like there were flags all over the field. Didn't look good. Didn't look disciplined. I guess that kind of started last year, if you really look into it. But I just don't feel like there's a whole lot of accountability right now, and you don't have Coach Saban to fall back on. And that's not a shot at Coach DeBoer. It's his first year, and he's, I think he's really probably starting to understand the pressure of being the head football coach at Alabama. I don't know if there's a sport in Alabama or an event or any organization that's more scrutinized within the state than the Alabama football program. And, again, it's his first year here, 26 guys left. I don't care who you've got. Putting together that many new guys on one roster is hard in college.
It's his birthday, and you were there for Coach Saban's birthday. Do you think they are going to have a party for him? And do you think he'll give you the same response that you got from Coach Saban?
I'll tell you that story.
Yeah. You think he'll get up there and start screaming at everybody? You guys want to give me a good birthday gift?
Have I told that story on the show?
It's been a while, but
yeah, Coach Saban's birthday. We're all got party hats, the cookie cake, all that stuff, and he comes in, we sing him happy birthday, and we practice like shit the day before. And he walks in, we get done singing happy birthday, and he just goes off. He's like, I don't want any of this shit. It doesn't mean a damn thing to me unless you practice well today. It's like, that's how you can wish me a happy birthday. I was like, God.
Did you have one of the party hats on?
Yeah, I was taking that off when he got going.
Who was the last one to take their party hat off?
Man, I don't know. It was it was one of those scenes I won't forget. That's for sure.
It's a different day and age now in Tuscaloosa. I mean, that doesn't really happen like that anymore. It's a little different now.
Yeah, or the horns down. That I thought it was so funny when we beat Texas at Texas a few years ago, and I can't remember who it was doing the horns down, and Coach Saban's running to shake Sark's hand, and he goes, "Quit doing that shit." Yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess Ryan tells me all the time I'm old school, but I guess I like that, that edge.
Mm-hmm. You don't mind the celebrating, but when you're getting beat by Vanderbilt
the celebrating.
Well, I'm kind of with Brian. I don't mind the celebrating a little bit, but when you're getting beat by Vandy for the first time in 40 years, it'd be nice to just give the football back to the official and get back into the huddle.
Instead of acting like you're, beating the 72 Dolphins.
I mean, I'm so confused by what's going on right now. I did the elephant in the room with you. I do the show with Mike, the All-American Report. Mike says he watches the film and there's like 6 guys going in the wrong direction on a play, and I've told you before.
Well, the one that
he's not fun to watch games with.
The one that stuck out to me was that we had the 2 tight ends in the game. I mean, we're running left, and then the guard and center work the opposite way, and we just get blown up for a 5-yard loss. It was like, guys, I mean, what, and the thing that makes you nervous about that is that that's a design run. You're obviously running to the strength, and you should know which way that ball's going based on formation. So you'd think, everybody to be on the same page there, know what formation you're in, know where you're running the ball, and to just not come to that realization is a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not fun to watch games with because it's just too technical for me. And I mean, he's not watching the ball. I mean, he's watching the guys at the line of scrimmage, and he's watching the blockers and, and the formations and stuff. I just want to see where the ball ends up, you throw the ball to Ardarius Stewart. Okay. That's a first down. Okay. I mean, if somebody else is open, throw it to them, but he's very technical when it comes to doing that. If he wanted to, he could be a coach at the college level. I mean, he's that good. It scares me when he says that, though, because for him to watch it is one thing, but for him to say he's seen multiple times like that makes me think that they're not figuring out this offense.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and there's definitely a lot to it. There's a lot of detail that's got to be crammed into 4 months. Right. I mean, a lot of guys, it takes a couple of years, to get where you're fluid and understanding the wording, the nuance of route running, how to communicate with your teammates and what you're seeing and what you should do to adjust in game time like that. So again, when we talked before the season started, my hopes weren't that high. And again, I got caught up in the Georgia victory thinking that, we were going to be a dominant team, that, we weren't going to have any let off, and that Vandy game kind of took me back. And then this Tennessee game, just the way the Tennessee game played out, where, I mean, all the opportunities in the world, just, put the nail in the coffin, finish the game, and we couldn't do it. It wasn't championship football, obviously.
Right.
And you watch Georgia go in there. I mean, they had one bad half against us, and then you watch them go in and play Texas, and defense playing with their hair on fire. I mean, you got Texas benching Quinn Ewers, one of the previously thought of Heisman candidates, and that just doesn't happen. Guy's been starting for 3 years, and a hell of a quarterback. You get him confused and get him rattled. Georgia's just got that mentality we used to have, and I mean, Coach DeBoer, he's just got to. Yeah, like I said, I trust him. I think he's a great hire for us. He's going to get us moving in the right direction. It's just going to take time, and hopefully in 3 years, we look back and the same way we look at Coach Saban's first year. Now obviously Coach DeBoer had more to play with when he showed up, but at the same time, you lose that many guys in the portal, and you're just digging deep to find guys to fill spots. It's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And
man.
we got some good transfers. Don't get me wrong, but again, just plugging and playing is pretty tough, no matter who you pick up.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of reasons why, but it's not over yet. I mean, they just got to get it figured out. And I think that if they're catching Missouri at the right time, win this game, you get a week off, and if you can get really focused and get back to the basics, right, and get the details of things down and get healthy, get by LSU, and the rest of the LSU is really the toughest game remaining. I mean, all of them are losable, but all of them are winnable, right? And they just got to get back to doing the things that Alabama football does, and that's being much better on defense. And I'm going to tell you why Alabama's struggling, but first I want to remind all of you guys that we're brought to you by mybookie.ag, and use that promo code next round to double your initial deposit. But now is really the best time of year for sports and for putting some action down on games, because you got so many things going on. The World Series starts Friday, and it's the Yankees and the Dodgers. I mean, this is like if you said in the NFL, what's the Super Bowl that you would say, like the marquee Super Bowl? It'd be the Cowboys and the Steelers, right? Just historically. Well, in baseball, it's the Dodgers and the Yankees, and that goes all the way back to Babe Ruth and Jackie Robinson and Joe DiMaggio and Mickey Mantle and all the great Dodgers and all the great Yankees. And this year's no different. I mean, both teams are star-studded. It's going to be a great World Series. You can hit that. You got the NBA and NHL cranking up. You got college basketball coming, and Bama's a top 5 team right now. You got college football and the NFL, and all you guys are Ravens fans. I am too. Watching Derrick Henry, eat a banana and an avocado every day at 4:00 and then truck everybody on the football field has been the best thing I've ever seen. I need a Derrick Henry jersey. I think I'm going to order that because you know him, and now
you don't have one already.
I know. I mean, he was on the wrong team until this year. But anyway, him and Marlon Humphrey, 2 guys you played with on that Ravens team. You can check those guys out though. Mybookie.ag, and look, they support our channel. They make this happen. So you take advantage of that. That doubling your initial deposit at mybookie.ag. Covercrimson.com. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. 3 things that Alabama fans can do. It's confusing for Auburn fans. So we'll just say, if you guys are hanging out, just give us a thumbs up and we'll talk to you later. So I know I didn't even mean to talk about this, but I saw Marlon Humphrey had 2 interceptions last game for the Ravens. And then Derrick Henry is killing it, man. I mean, this dude is like next level. Do you ever say, hey, man, I see what you're doing. I'm kind of looking at myself right now. How can I, No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't even know where you're going. What?
I'm trying to get you balked up.
We're talking about the diet. I mean,
I'm just talking about this, man.
I wonder how many Miller Lights he drinks on a weekend.
Probably none. They said he doesn't drink. I think.
No, he never drank in college.
My wife told me, like, he does. He's like, no fried foods, no this, no that. Like, he's got like a serious diet. And he is still he's as good now as he's ever been. I mean, did you see him last game? He ran like 23 miles an hour. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. If he had 2 kids, a wife, and worked in insurance, he'd eat a lot shittier than.
That's the clip we need to put out. All these serious clips and get all these responses. I know you got some responses you want to talk about. The good thing is the interaction on these channels is what you do it for. But the bad thing is that, it's not always positive interaction,
I got what was it? Gary Halsey. I'm looking at some of these comments. I guess he thinks we're CNN. He says this is why you can't trust media. You're all given the same talking points about a Jalen Milroe injury. I mean, who have you talking to? Are we the media?
Listen, Gary, I appreciate your comment, right? But I'm going to tell you right now that isn't. I said it before anybody. You can tell the guy's got 34.
Somebody pulled this story out of their ass to excuse his bad play.
No,
and handed it to every stooge to run with.
No.
I'm especially disappointed in Jake Coker, a national championship winning quarterback. Mick, I get.
Thanks, Gary.
He's always been deeply in love with Milroe, but Jake should be more honest about the situation.
Look, Gary, come on, man.
Gary.
The guy's got 50. He's got 57 carries for 30 yards, like in the last 3 games. Like that just doesn't pay out to me.
The scariest thing. I mean, I feel like we've been saying it the whole time. I mean, what makes Jalen Milroe so dynamic is his legs. I mean, if he I think he is developing as a passer. If you take out, he's been getting better since he started last year, since after the Texas game last year. And he made a lot of great throws last year, and he's made some great throws this year. I mean, that Georgia game was unbelievable. But I don't think Jalen's a guy that's going to sit in the pocket and win games. Like, you have to fear him running the ball in order for him to be as effective as he can possibly be. That's what scares me the most. That's what makes me excited for him to play quarterback at Alabama, is because there's so many times where plays break down or he just takes off, gets an easy first down with his legs. It's almost impossible to put one guy on him and be able to neutralize him.
Right.
It's not – we're not sitting over here saying that, oh, man, he's going to stay in that pocket every snap of the game and beat the hell out of people 42-0, throw 5 touchdown passes. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that he's so dynamic an athlete that's what creates such a monster on offense for us, because he can run the ball, he can throw the ball when needed, he extends plays, makes things happen. I mean, if he's got the athletic ability that Quinn Ewers has, then he wouldn't be starting. Does that make sense? I feel like there's some kind of miscommunication between us and people watching, because he looked like he was hurt, because, again, what were the stats? You just said them. He got less rush yards that game, didn't even try to make a plays on his feet last game when there were opportunities there. And I'm not sitting here. I love Jalen Milroe. I think he should be the starter when he's 100%. His performance last Saturday was baffling to me. I just have not seen him play like that since, after the Texas game last year.
Covercrimson.com, Gary, go get a membership. You can do it until Sunday for $1. So jump in there. And we love the debate on the message board. But Stacy Blackwood put this stat up, and I just look, man, I know Milroe has limitations in some areas, but what I've said about him from the beginning is that when you factor in him as the best running back on the team, and then he can throw the ball, the deep ball, and honestly, you saw what he did against Georgia. There's special ability there. We're not seeing that right now. And Jake will tell you, he played with separated shoulder for 3 games.
Yeah.
There was a game, what was it, Mississippi State? I'm not trying to tell your story, but you couldn't even throw the ball and you were out there playing.
Well, and I got another comment I'll hit here in just a second.
I love that look in your eyes.
Gary too.
No way. All the Garys.
Gary Wayne. Listening to your latest podcast, AJ has 3 national championships. How many does Milroe have? If Milroe is hurt, he needs to sit for the good of the team. You do believe in the good of the team, don't you? I'll tell you what, Gary. We had a saying in Alabama. What was it? You had a foxhole, right? And so you could either be in my foxhole or you had to get the hell out of my foxhole. If you can play and you opt out of a game, your ass is out of my foxhole. I don't want somebody on my team that's not going to play through injury and do everything they can to be on the field. That's not up for Milroe to make a decision. You go out there and you play unless you absolutely can't play, and it's up to the coach to pull you out. Jalen's a captain on that team. You don't pull him out unless he absolutely cannot play.
I get that.
AJ had a separated shoulder. Blake Sims had a separated shoulder. I had a separated shoulder. None of us missed games. Nobody knew about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we had 2 tackles on our team get the tightrope surgery on Sunday after a game and played the next Saturday.
Wow.
You know, I mean, there's injuries all over the
That's
place.
what happens in this business.
And you'll never know. You will never know.
Mm-hmm.
And all these guys, I mean, you know, you don't see anybody opting out of those injuries. I mean, a lot of times guys get hurt. I mean, I know of those because, I mean, we're talking every day. You know, there's some guys on the defensive side of the ball that would get hurt, and you didn't even know it until the end of the year. I mean, it's just so well hidden that that it's people just don't talk about them. They just keep playing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what made the toughness that we had, and then the off season stuff. You know, the mentality Coach Saban brought, Scott Cochran brought. I mean, you were expected to play unless you absolutely just could not play. And to pull yourself out of the game, I mean, the mentality around that offense, around that locker room was, you know, I mean, if you opt out of playing, then everybody's kind of looking at you sideways. So, you know, again, I would think if Jalen could play and he opted out of playing in that game, I would think lesser of him. I mean, you're either there for the team and the program or you're not.
Yeah. Oh, here's the numbers. I just want to get these right. Stacy's message board post. 59 of 92, 64% since Georgia, 758 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. This is the one that tells me, and I see his play too. He doesn't have the explosive ability to run. Tennessee, you know, he gets outside of he on that 4th down play. He's like an ankle tackle away from a touchdown. Like he always breaks that tackle. And he couldn't get away, but 57 yards on 39 attempts. That's scary to me because he'll get 57 yards on 1 attempt when he's healthy.
There was not,
3 touchdowns and then a 1-2 record. I'm not saying, and I'm not disagreeing with this, Gary, that if he's injured and he can't throw the ball, if he can't make that pass to the running back in the flat where he's throwing it 18 feet over the guy's head at the end of the game, then you may need to put Simpson or somebody else in. But I respect the hell out of the guy for being out there and helping the team. Yeah. I just do. I'm sorry. And you guys know.
You're not going to see me. I just can't. I've been in that scenario.
Yeah.
You're not going to see me trash ex-Alabama quarterbacks. There's a lot. There's more effort put into that. And I mean, I know what Jalen's going through right now. It's one of the worst feelings you could possibly have. He's been beating himself up all week, and he's, you know, doing his best to get his team in the best position possible to win. And Jalen's a talented guy. He's a great guy. I mean,
yeah.
You're just not going to see me trash our quarterbacks. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I've been surprised, you know, with AJ McCarron. He's on the podcast with
and if there's a quarterback out there that, to me, that if we had a quarterback that was playing soft and not doing everything they could to win, then I would, you know, I'd be angry about that. But a guy that's putting his body on the line, doing everything he can. I mean, the guy's running, taking a beating all the time, getting up, keeping going. I mean, you're not going to see me run a quarterback down in Alabama for doing that.
And guys, you can go back. I've got shows on here for 2 years plus. I mean, I tell it like I see it, man. If I didn't think the guy was, like you said, if I didn't think that he was given in full effort, if I thought it was something like I'm seeing with, you know, some of the other positions on the field or the coaching or, you know, this week with the coordinators and the excuses that they're making, I would say it. That's all I'm saying. I would say it. Like and I'm telling you, like if he's hurt and he can't make the throw to the running back out of the backfield, the 2 throws that he missed in the 4th quarter because he's injured, then they either feel like the backup quarterback isn't in position to help them get to where they want to get to, or maybe he just had a bad game. And if it's a bad game, then you know what? If he's not injured, that scares me, and that to me would be worse than him being injured and trying to play through it. But I just don't see that.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree, and it goes a long way, in my opinion, to have your leader out there on the field I mean, it's kind of hard to throw back up in there in a Tennessee game at Neyland Stadium.
I got to ask you this, though. Just popped into my head. Okay. So obviously you and AJ went to the same high school, and I think he's one of the great quarterbacks ever. I mean, he's won 2 national championships. Okay. I also have been friends with Neil for a long time. I think that their podcast is really good. I love the fact that Siski will he tells you great stories. He's not afraid. And then AJ comes on there and he just lobs grenades. Like, can you imagine being in your position in 2015 and then having somebody like him, like a former quarterback, just come in and start start hitting you in the back of the head? Like, I was just like I'm listening to him and I'm like, first off, and I told you when you got in here, I was like, you know what, man, I kind of like AJ McCarron on there because he will tell you. I mean, he'll say what he wants to say, right? Which is refreshing from this job, this seat. You know, when you got to get on here and say stuff, right?
Yeah.
And what you guys don't know is that same stuff that we're saying here. We believe that we say the same thing off the air. You know, we're friends off the air too. It's not like you're going, you know, there's a lot of guys that played that'll tell you one thing, and then when they get on the air, they're like, they don't want to say it. They don't want the smoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But think about that.
To clear that up, I have said what I say on the air about Jalen is the same thing I say off.
I know, it's my point. But my question is, can you imagine if 2000? Just say I don't know. I hate to use this guy's name because I do talk about him sometimes on occasion, but just say McElroy all of a sudden, just like in 2009, just went and smoked you. like AJ smoked Milroe.
Well, what all did he say? Because all I saw was the clip.
They were saying he wasn't that good and all that stuff, and he hadn't gotten better this year and everything. And I totally disagree with that. But if he thinks that, I mean,
this year it's just weird.
He's had a bad month.
Production wise, he's done pretty well, but just the Tennessee games where
it was terrible.
This crazy bad performance.
But what would you have done though? How would you have taken that?
I mean, honestly,
did anybody ever do that to you?
I'd have to go back and think, but I mean, honestly, when people say stuff to me, it does not bother me at all. I don't care. It really doesn't matter at all to me.
So you think for Milroe, he ain't gonna notice that?
I mean, he's probably.
I think he's
probably annoyed. Yeah,
I wouldn't be happy about it.
But I mean,
they run into each other. I don't know. He's probably not gonna
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I never had that. Well, I did talk to what's his name, Chris Fowler, because I had heard some of the things that they said during broadcasts about me not being able to run, and which I know that came from Lane, but I'd start running a bunch, and all of a sudden, I think Chris Fowler said I made a run, and he goes, "Oh, Coker, the runner!" All of a sudden, and I was like, before the national championship game, I was talking to Chris, and I was like, I'm really tired of this stigma you're giving me that I'm not athletic. I was like, I've never heard that until I got here. And I was like, I guess when you just see a big white guy, you just think you can't run. I was like, is that what it is? I mean, like, I don't get it, and he's laughing. I mean, we're joking around. It wasn't like a
contentious, right?
I mean, I'm joking with him, and like I said, when people say stuff, it just doesn't bother me. But I mean, if he was in my face cussing at me, we'd have a problem,
Yeah, right. I get it.
But things said on the radio or whatever, it's like,
So no one's ever gotten under your
that
skin.
Scenario when they're telling me I'm, or not telling me, but just saying I'm unathletic. I mean, I'm talking to him. We're having a joking conversation, so it still doesn't bother me,
I don't want to. I'm not going to say who this is, but one former Alabama quarterback before Saban ripped in the paper, ripped in the new, the books, the preseason books and everything, and he keeps it and uses it for motivation to this day. I thought about that, and I was like, man, that have to be like pretty terrible when you opened up the the preseason guide, and it's like the reason they're not going to win is this guy, and it's got like everything, like this whole list of stuff about you, right? Really good athlete, too.
Well, I think if I did take all that seriously, because back when I was playing, especially, when I was not the starter my first year, I mean, it was like, the amount of shit I got was just through the roof. And I was like, whatever, man, I can't, I'm not keeping up with this. I don't care. And I learned to just not worry about it.
Just kind of roll with it. Well, it's an honest question. What I will tell you this, though, covercrimson.com. Both of you guys can go on there for $1 and sign up and talk all that stuff, because that's what the message board's for. Now those comments didn't come off of it, but we get into stuff like that, and people are entitled to their opinion. I'm a big believer in free speech. Sometimes I worry about the direction of our country when it comes to free speech, but I mean, like, part of my experience at the University of Alabama was going into Dr. Alzacoffy's political science classes and debating, and upper level classes and being able to have an opinion and listen to other people's opinions and then articulate my thoughts and listen to them do theirs. And then, a lot of those people are still, we don't always agree on politics, but we're still great friends. Two of those guys were in my wedding.
Yeah.
So,
when we're talking about that, I'm just sitting here thinking about Jalen, and I know he is just, it had to be really rough after that Tennessee game, but and even throughout this week, but and we've talked about this before, where you just got to go and not care about the results, anything else. You just go in with, the best way I approached it after I was benched and then went in against Ole Miss was just ruthless, my way. Don't care what happens. I was telling Ryan, I think I said this in a podcast before, and Dominic Jackson, I love to death. He's, we're friends, and, things happen on the football field. But I remember one of my first plays in after that Ole Miss, after I got benched and I got thrown back in there, and I had that mentality, just did not care. I got the snap and I threw a corner route high, and it goes out of bounds, and I'm just, my blood's boiling. I'm just on a different level, and I throw it, and I see Dominic Jackson look at me after it goes high. And I was like, I just don't say it. I looked at him. I go, "What the fuck are you looking at?" It's like, not today.
Yeah.
Like, line up. Next play. I don't give a shit.
I love that fire.
He
was a great player too, man.
So you just got to get to a point where you don't. I didn't care what I said. I didn't care if I said something that the whole team would jump me. I just didn't care. It was, you had a problem, I'm coming after you.
Yeah. That team had such a great, like, tough mentality, man. And it was kind of like this killer instinct that you guys had, and then the sideline, the music, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
And that was one year where I felt like because of you, and then talking with Ryan Anderson too. He kind of collaborates this, but you kind of having this like workman type quarterback mentality. You're going to run somebody over. You got a great compliment from someone. I don't want to say who it is just because it's their job to say it, but he was like, of all the Alabama quarterbacks, Coker, he's that guy that, that you just feel like he's just a regular dude, and that means like, hey, this guy is somebody that is not taking themselves too seriously, that is going to do all the little things just like everybody else, not looking for the black jersey, not to get out there like, hey, I'm going to hit somebody just like you guys. And from these guys and some big dudes, there's a really big guy that told me this. I'm thinking like, man, like that to someone like him is kind of like the ultimate compliment that you can give to a quarterback.
No, and I appreciate that. But that was what I tried to do. I wanted to lead that way, because I'm not a big speech guy. I think speeches, there's like there's like maybe one or two I've heard in my entire life that I'm like, okay, that was motivational, and I've heard a lot of speeches.
Wait, did it start out like this? You guys got your asses whooped by a bunch of nerds. I heard that. So everybody kept sending me that one. It was John Goodman in Prevention Nerds. I kept getting it after we lost to Vandy. And honestly, I liked it. It was pretty funny. If I was you.
No, but we had, our team was in such, it was just, there was so much disarray with who the quarterback was going to be, and just a lot of chaos around. And when things we got to a crossroads where it was, all right, we have to win or we're just going to be a forgotten Alabama team. Everybody kind of tore all the barriers down and just led the way they thought they should lead and took part the way they thought they should take part, held each other accountable, executed the small details because it was important to everybody. And, that's why we talk about that Malachi Moore incident. It happened at the end of the game, and the game was, it was over, and I thought it finally boiled over, and I was like, okay, maybe this is where a captain does this, and he's losing his mind because of how just upset he is with the direction of this team and the way that everybody's carrying themselves, and it's just not to the Alabama standard that he believes in. And I was like, that's the only reason why I thought, okay, maybe this is going to be ultimately a good thing. Like, he's not going to take shit from anybody. They're going to move forward. They're going to move past this. And the other captains and the other players will see this and be like, man, this is rock bottom for Alabama, and I didn't know if it'd take a captain to do that. If he's trying to make a statement, I just, again, it's unacceptable, and he knows he shouldn't have done that. But the one that bothers me the most is the Kendrick Law one, where, it's 2-minute drive. The game is, you got an opportunity to drive down there and win, and you just completely blew it. You shit the bed, and you took that opportunity from every player on that field, your coaches. Just the dumbest. It just shows you the lack of focus.
Yeah, right.
How do you let that guy get in your head like that?
Yeah, right. Whatever he said is words, and now you got to go back and face all your teammates that have spent hours and hours and hours. And then the other thing too is that Tennessee fans, like I've been, like on Twitter and stuff, I'm hearing from them, like they've won 2 out of the last 18 games. They're the biggest shit talkers in the entire college football world to me. And their standard is it's a successful season if we beat Alabama. At Alabama, it's a successful season if you win a championship.
Yeah.
And if you win an SEC championship, it's great, but it's still not the season that you want it to have. It's about winning a national championship. And even last year's SEC champs, that's the perception, it was good, but it wasn't great, right? There is something special about wearing that uniform and jogging out on the field and running through that tunnel and everything you do in this state. And you know this, Jake, when you're affiliated with Alabama, it's different than Tennessee. It's different than Auburn. It's different than Georgia. It's different than everywhere else. And you hear the term Bama standard. When you see stuff like that, whether you're kicking the football when the official puts it down, or you're getting a 15-yard penalty at the end of the game, when your team's on a 2-minute drive and you have a chance to pull off a great comeback win, or at least make it close, or give yourself a chance, it scares me. And that's the thing, that when I hear these coaches making excuses for Alabama players that aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, I hope that behind the scenes that they're not making those excuses.
Yeah.
That's because the Bama standard hasn't always been there. It came back when Coach Saban got there. Before that, it was gone. I thought Gene Stallings had it. Loved Gene Stallings. Back with Bear Bryant, obviously, Wallace Wade, going back to those days, Frank Thomas. But I talked to Bart Starr, his autographs on one of those footballs over there. He told me they won 1 game or something, a year. So there's a thin line between what the success that this program's had and where it can go. And I just hope that with these coaches, and I'm supporting them, and I like Coach DeBoer a lot, man. I appreciate him, and came on one of my shows. Like, I love that. But I hear these excuses and I see that behavior, and it worries me.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to build it. It doesn't take very long to blow it. And man, it's like gaining and losing weight, man. It's, I mean, it's not fair, but it's part of the hard work. And you think about, I mean, to me, it's Alabama, but also your teammates that are there. I mean, we had a special group, we really did, and I talk about all those injuries and those guys playing through stuff, and I mean, I'm giving Gary a hard time, and really, I'm joking. I'm just communicating, but you got guys out there who are, I mean, playing through injuries that their bodies will never be the same, working their ass off just to accomplish a goal within a 4-year period of their lives. I mean, the surgeries, the injuries, the things that you'll never be the same after. And I'm not sitting here acting like football is some, I'm not comparing it to like, battle or anything like that. But, when you're done playing and you've had a lot of surgeries, your body is never the same. And you did it all just to win a national championship at Alabama. And, just to let those little dumb mental mistakes get in the way of that goal when you've got that many guys busting their ass, working year round, having surgeries that are going to alter the rest of their life, and you can't see the bigger picture. Instead of a guy just probably tell him how ugly his mama is, I mean, he's got right, a fond of that. Yeah, that's really what's going to get in the way of you winning a national championship, or at least putting your best foot forward to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just again, there's the lack of discipline and the lack of understanding what you're there to do. It just seems like this team just isn't there yet and understanding what the ultimate goal is.
Well, the good news is, Jake, as we start to wrap this up, is that they're going to play a wounded Tigers team. We talked about that at the beginning of the show with Noel, their running back, out. Cook, their quarterback, most likely out. Some people reporting he's going to be out with an ankle injury. And then, it's a different team. Drew Pine isn't Brady Cook. And for, Alabama, they've got to take advantage of this opportunity. And they're going to have to run the ball better, and they're going to have to win. And I don't even think it's just the winning thing. I mean, it's about playing a complete game. It's about doing the little things right, cutting down on the penalties and growing. And I mean, I guess the last thing that I want to get into with you on our show today, leading into this game, is it's just that, what are you looking for? Not just having more points than the other team, but what are you looking for to say that this team is going in the right direction?
At this point, I wouldn't care if we, I know everybody, the common theme is we aren't mixing things up on defense, and offensively we are just inconsistent, undisciplined. I really don't care if we ran the same scheme in every situation on defense. I wouldn't care if we ran 5 plays on offense. I want to see us dominate the line of scrimmage and play with no penalties and a lot of consistency. Guys let's do stuff that just we can easily execute and be consistent and not getting penalties, and just play hard. Let these guys get back into a groove here. And I know that'll never happen, but it's so hard after watching that Tennessee game to pinpoint, what is our strength, because again, there's no consistency there. So you really don't know. One game our receivers, no lines show up, and then, our quarterback doesn't show up, or our front seven play like heroes, and the back ends just there's guys open all over the place. Which that Tennessee game, man, that game we could have lost that game by 3 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, if they hit those deep balls.
I thought we were physical on defense, and you play man coverage, you're going to get caught a lot of times. And we're young back there too. Again, just I want to see some physical ball. I don't really care what the coaches do. I just want to see us physical, consistent, and no penalties.
All right. Well, look,
I'd like to see a game where we have very few 1st and 15s.
Yeah, right. Me too. Tyler Booker has kind of took it under. He's kind of taken over I'm going to make sure that we do things right and start holding people accountable. I hope it's not too little too late, but man, I love that guy.
It should be more than, I really felt like our defensive line was just, when we were there, our defensive line was so, that was like the accountability machine, man. You didn't get out of line. They were coming after you, Then, of course, we had leaders all over, but the D-line was the enforcers.
Right.
You knew what to do. And everybody was going to get after your ass no matter what. But that D-line, you really crossed the line. You knew you were getting the guillotine.
That was fun, man. You guys make sure that you get in the comments section and send them Jake's way. Obviously he loves comments, so now we all do.
No, you mentioned the comments about me looking around, and I was like, I gotta see what they're saying. And as I'm going through it, I see other ones. I'm like, shit, I gotta respond to some of these, And when I'm looking, my office, I'm on the 6th floor, and I sit over the interstate, and then I can see downtown Mobile. And so I got so much to look at. And then I got Mick, exiting from the screen while I'm talking, and I'm trying to figure out something to look at while I'm talking. I'm getting new to this. I'm getting used to it, people.
The funny thing to me is Brett, Brett Elmore, Big Sexy, he would read all of them. And then he would tell me what everybody was saying. So he'd be like, so-and-so said this about me. And I'd be like, well, what'd they say about me? And he'd be like, they like you. Like, yes. Hey, I love you guys.
Right, just being nice.
No, he might have been. You saw him. So
I get Mick.
Man, I love doing this though.
Guys,
thank you guys.
You'd have to know me and Mick, the two Garys, we just gave shit to. If you sat in here, we'd have a fun time talking about it. I promise you. You'd have to know us to know how we make fun of people.
Yeah, but just how we make fun of each other. So, well, look, man, I had a lot of fun, and look forward to doing this again next week. It is a bye week, so we'll maybe slow it down to 1 show, maybe 2. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's see what happens on on Saturday. We will be now. If you guys are in Tuscaloosa, you're going to be there. Come by Unique Bar. That's the Old Egan's on the Strip tomorrow between 1 and 4 o'clock. We're doing the Bama Tailgate Show. Us two will be there. I heard rumblings that Taylor Hicks and the gang from Nashville might be coming down. So I don't know if I think they're going to be at the game. I don't know if they'll be at the show. But we invite you to come hang out with us. We'll have the show on the speakers so you guys can listen, hang out, have a beer, and talk some Alabama football. But it's been great, honestly, seeing you guys come to the different spots and meet you guys has been fantastic. It really is cool. So thank you for that too. And then, you'll be able to listen to the show throughout the state on Saturday, or you can watch it too tomorrow. So anyway, like and subscribe right here, Cover Crimson, and then covercrimson.com. You got until Sunday to get the $1 month to get on there, getting that message board. Clint's covering recruiting now, so we got that going. We got his snap count, analysis from every single game. I get in there once in a while and we want you guys to be a part of that. And then we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to double your initial deposit. And now is the time to do it because we got a ton of sports going on, including Alabama football on Saturday. So for Jay Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging, guys. Roll